to welcome and request our MP, Honorable Member of Rajya Sabha, Dr. Sujit Kumar. He is very kind to have accommodated not only Dr. Raul but the previous speakers, and we look forward to his words today, particularly because Dr. Sujit Kumar is an extremely qualified gentleman. I mean, with your permission, sir, may I say that you do not fit in the stereotype of a normal politician, because you are so well qualified yourself, and you have a double degree in engineering and also in law, and you have acquired a degree of Master in Public Administration, the prestigious Harvard Kennedy School and the University of Harvard, and an MBA degree from the University of Oxford. It is something extraordinary. And we have the pleasure of having you here today, and we look forward to your words. And I'm sure it will be a great encouragement. It will be a great lesson to people on both sides, both people in India and Odisha, and the people in Vietnam, because you represent us at the should I say, the highest level of the country. So may I now request Dr. Sujit Kumar to please take the floor and address us.
Thank you, sir. Coming from you, it's actually a huge honor. Let me put it on record that very few people in Odisha command the authority on the challenges and opportunities of the state as Bijay Patnaik sir does, having very deftly and ably led the state bureaucracy for a large number of years at the highest echelons of government, and much of the development that we see today and the progress that we witness today in the state has his footprints really. So, sir, I'm honored to be introduced by you. Good morning, all the participants. Good to see such quite a decent turnout on a Sunday morning. Dr. Madan Mohan Sethi, son of the soil, Madam Dr. Tan Yen, Manoj Babu, all the participants. Let me begin by wishing all of you good health and safety in these difficult and challenging times. May all of your family members stay safe and healthy as well. It's my honor and privilege to be part of this OCF webinar today on a, I must say, a very pertinent and important topic. And I must compliment OCF and commend them for organizing this webinar. At the outset, I would like to admit that I know very little about Vietnam. And in fact, I'm here more as a learner than to contribute. But being part of the External Affairs Committee, Parliamentary Committee of the Government of India, I'm trying my best to learn and educate myself as much on Vietnam and the relationship between India and the other countries, typically in the Asia Pacific. So this is a great opportunity for me. I feel there is so much in common between the two countries. Both the countries have very good diplomatic and political relationship. Both are strong, emerging, and vibrant economies. Both have very strong civilizational and trade linkages, as Mr. Manoj Sahu was mentioning, dating back to centuries. And if I may say so, both do face challenges from the neighborhood. And I would be blunt enough to say from a particular neighbor who has unleashed its expansionist tendencies in the Indo-Pacific region and has destabilized the peace and stability of the Indo-Pacific. And both Vietnam and India have been victim of this. So in such a scenario, I think the Indo-Vietnam partnership can be and should be one of the most defining partnerships of the 21st century, at least in the Indo-Pacific region. But unfortunately, despite having so much in common, and despite India's Look East policy and now the Act East policy, and despite the ASEAN India Free Trade Agreement, which was signed way back in 2009, the bilateral engagement between India and Vietnam is very, very unflattering. I mean, all my previous speakers have spoken about the trajectory, but even 13, $14 billion is I think a very small number, very, very unflattering number given the potential. And even this 13, $14 billion has been a recent phenomenon. We have started from 200 billion 10 years back. So the growth trajectory, though encouraging, is still not up to the mark. And if you look at the other parameters, the numbers are very depressing. The number of foreign tourists, Vietnamese tourists coming to India are in thousands. I think I'm told 32,000 were the number of foreign tourists visiting India. Similarly, the number of Indian tourists visiting Vietnam is a very paltry number, though it might have increased in the last couple of years because of awareness about Southeast Asia generally and Vietnam particularly. Hardly a handful of Vietnamese companies invest in India. I do not know the exact number, but I'm sure it's not a very encouraging number. Similarly, Dr. Yen in her presentation spoke of less than 1 billion FDI from India going to Vietnam. $1 billion, a country, we are talking of $5 trillion economy. Less than $1 billion FDI going from India to Vietnam. We are ranked only 6th in terms of investing in Vietnam. But is nothing interesting. I think very heartening that offers a huge political will, to augment and strengthen this partnership and this relationship. And both the countries have taken large number of steps to come closer to each other, particularly in the area of academic exchanges, cultural exchanges, tourism, and so on and so forth. And I think the biggest potential, the biggest room for opportunity lies in the trade and economic ties between India and Vietnam. And I think as both the countries bounce back from the pandemic, the Indo-Vietnam relationship is only going to have significant potential. In fact, I'm told a couple of MOUs have been signed between the two countries, the most significant being in the area of defense partnership, and an army software park has been set up by the Indian Defense Forces, and which is playing a significant role in training of the defense forces of Vietnam. In petrochemicals, ONGC has significantly invested in Vietnam to the chagrin of China. In the area of cancer research, in the area of agriculture, in the area of nuclear energy, a large number of MOUs have been signed, and I think a great deal of work is being done. So I see a lot of promise. I think, as I have mentioned, as we emerge out of this pandemic, I think this partnership, friendship, cooperation, and relationship will only bolster. Now, India is known for its significant footprints and its expertise in the areas of IT, in the areas of pharma, food processing, and increasingly in the area of oil and gas as well. And as all my erudite speakers, predecessors spoke of export basket of India, which could comprise of cotton, iron and steel, fish, marine products, and handlooms, handicrafts. So Odisha, being a steel and mining hub and being a coastal state, I think offers immense potential for playing the lead role amongst the states in India to partner with Vietnam. Similarly, Vietnam has expertise and has a dominance in electronic components, in rubber, in chemicals, coffee, which can be utilized by the MSMEs and entrepreneurs in Odisha to further their enterprises ventures. I think the Odisha-based startups, Odisha-based entrepreneurs, fortunately, friendly nation. And definitely we are the most friendly nations today that we have in the Indo-Pacific. In India, in my view, bulk of the opportunity lies at the provincial level rather than at the national level. So at the sub-national or the regional or the provincial level lies the real, uh, opportunity. And India's Act East policy already provides a framework for the eastern and the northeastern states to engage with Southeast Asia. And I think this same framework can be utilized by states like Odisha to engage with countries like Vietnam and explore the massive opportunity that lies. And this is why I think this is why I think today's webinar is so pertinent, because it will help the entrepreneurs and the business ventures from the state who are keen to explore opportunities in the Southeast Asian nation. Now, why Odisha? See, I'm not a spokesperson for the government of Odisha, nor do I speak on behalf of the government. I think it would have been better if someone from EPICOL, which is the investment promotion agency of the state, to have been invited to speak on behalf of the state. But nevertheless, I think I firmly believe, and not because I've come from the state, but I firmly believe that no state in India today offers the kind of opportunities that Odisha does. It is truly India's best kept secret. In fact, that is our tagline for the Odisha tourism. But I hope that that secret doesn't remain a secret forever. So we need to go out and tell our story. I'm not a big fan of PowerPoint presentation, but Mr. Manusau insisted that I should have at least a small presentation. So I have a couple of slides, very rudimentary slides. So I'll just.
I share it for you, sir.
Sorry, yeah, please. If you could,
Yeah, I can share it, sir.
Yeah, actually, it's a very, very basic presentation, which probably
No,
most
sir,
of.
it is a minefield of information.
No,
sir.
in fact, I have stolen all the slides from the EPICOL website, so it's not really, Okay, so is it seen to all? Are the slides
Yes,
seen to all? Okay, so this is where. For those who are not from Odisha, not from India, we are a coastal states in the eastern coast of India, adjoining Bay of Bengal and. Okay, so you see, Odisha is very strategically placed as the gateway to Southeast Asia. Most of the destinations or most of the cities in Southeast Asia are just a couple of hours from Odisha, just maybe 3-4 hours. And as you see from the slide, within a short span of 6 hours, we can reach 50% of the global economy. And sorry, can we go to the previous slide? The next one, please. Yeah, so just next one, please. No, the next one. Yeah, sorry, thank you. So why did I say it's India's best kept secret? Because, because for the host of regions, the most important being we have a stable and transparent government for the last 21 years. By and large, we are a peaceful state. The crime rates in Odisha is one of the lowest in the country. We offer a very conducive and business-friendly environment, for the investors and the investments. In fact, we are ranked consistently, and these are not government of Odisha ranking. These are the government of India's ranking. We are consistently ranked in the top 3 in terms of investments, particularly manufacturing investments. The growth rate of the state is higher than the national average. It has been so for the last couple of years. We are the most resource-rich state in the country. I have a slide, pointing that out. We have abundant and well-trained, skilled workforce with very low wage rate. If you go to Bangalore or Pune or Indore, then probably the wage rate will be multiple times of that in Odisha. We have industry-ready infrastructure. Over 100,000 acres of land has been acquired by the Industrial Development Corporation of the state to offer to investments and investors coming to the state. Again, the rates are very, very competitive. And please, next slide. Yeah, so it's a power surplus state, one of the very few states in the country which is power surplus with very competitive electrical tariff for the industry. We have the, the largest major in the country in terms of average output per berth per day. Dhamra port is being developed as one of the largest private port in Eastern India in terms of cargo handling. So on and so forth. I could go on and on, but due to paucity of time, I think I should move on. But the story being that, truly Odisha today offers one of the finest opportunities for investors and investments looking for good returns and for engaging for engagement with the state. I was mentioning about the state being, the most resource rich in the country. You could see it for yourself. We have 96% of the nation's chromite, 92% of the country's nickel, 53% of bauxite, 45% manganese, 35% of the iron ore, and 25% of coal. These are staggering numbers. These are humongous numbers. Okay. Next slide, please. Go Swift. I must certainly make a mention of this wonderful single window platform that the state offers. In fact, this has been rated as this has been acknowledged as one of the best practices by Government of India many a times, and it's truly a single window platform with significant ease of doing business. It offers significant ease of doing business for investors. Yeah, next slide, please. These are some of the sector-specific policies that the state has implemented, and as I was mentioning, BKP has left immense footprints in many of these policies. These are some of the most forward-looking policies. I've gone through all of these policies of the state and also of many other states, and I can candidly tell you that the policies that our state offers are amongst the most forward-looking. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, and then finally, the last slide is why Odisha and Vietnam. I did speak about the commonalities and the lot of similarities between the two countries of India and Vietnam. Now, Odisha and Vietnam also offers a lot of similarities. The maritime linkage that we have spoken about, dating back to hundreds of years. The ambassador of Vietnam visited Odisha in 2019, and then he encouraged the MSMEs from Odisha, particularly in the sectors of food processing, pharma, travel, tourism, handloom, and handicraft, to explore opportunities in Vietnam. Rice, I'm told, is being now exported to Vietnam in a big way from Odisha, from Paradip port. I need to study more about it, which is good news. And Odisha has some of the finest circuit for Buddhist tourists and pilgrims, and Southeast Asia being largely Buddhist, and they do intend to travel to India to explore some of these Buddhist circuits and sites. I think Odisha would definitely and should definitely be on the radar of these tourists and pilgrims from Vietnam. So I will conclude, Manoj Babu, by saying that as Hanoi and Delhi share very cordial and warm relationship, and they are looking forward to augment their bilateral partnerships. I think Odisha has the capacity and the willingness to contribute to this process. And I think by initiating this discussion today on the challenges and opportunities of India and Vietnam, and specifically Odisha and Vietnam, I think today's webinar will help develop a thriving economic partnership between these two entities. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your very encouraging words. In fact, as you rightly pointed out, we are at a stage where we can only grow further. So it is true of trade between India and Vietnam, and it's more true of the trade between Odisha and Vietnam. You have very rightly highlighted the advantages of Odisha being on the East Coast and being in a very favorable position logistics-wise to have this kind of a trade relationship with Vietnam and all the countries in Southeast Asia. So it has been very kind words from you coming from, should I say, Rajya Sabha itself. So we are very proud of our association with you, and thank you so much for having found time to come and address us, to spend so much time with us. The more time you spend with us, the stronger we feel, because that's the way, Odisha Corporate Foundation would like to have partnership at all levels, with industry, with the government, with policymakers, with all the people at all levels. So that's how we progress. So thank you so much, sir, for your words. And now I think I would